Good morning, Glenwood. Where you guys been the last couple of weeks? I've been walking the halls for 2 or 3 weeks and haven't been able to find anybody. I can tell you this, there's nothing more dreary than a school that's empty. And we're all wanting you back as soon as possible. And whenever that is, we're not sure, but we don't know what the future holds, but I think we all know who holds the future. And I'm going to go over some things with you this morning that I think you need to be aware of. And we all know that our nation and world is in a crisis mode right now. And I can't emphasize to you students and parents enough to please abide by the regulations and guidelines that the president and the governors and the local health departments are putting out to help us fight this virus. We start out with a 15-day guidelines, and yesterday it was expanded to April the 30th. And to be honest with you folks, if we're ever going to get back to school and for things to be normal, we're all going to have to abide by those guidelines. And don't take this the wrong way when I say it, but it does not take 4 people to go to Walmart and pick up a loaf of bread. So please understand that we have to do our part in this time of crisis, hygiene-wise, health-wise, social distancing-wise, staying at home. That's the only way this is going to work. We'll get back to normal things at school if we all help our president and our nation do what we're being asked to do. Now on to what we do with school. Before I talk about school, I think it's just appropriate right now on this day that we have a word of prayer about our nation, our school, and our own Coach Tim Fanning. Let's pray. Dear God, I just lift our school, our nation, and our world up to you during this difficult time for everybody. Dear God, we know you're there. We know you're going to protect us. We know you're going to care for us. And everything is in your hands. God, just give us the patience to understand that certain things that we have to do to help you make this better. There's so many people that we need to thank during this difficult time. But first and foremost are our healthcare providers, our first responders, our leaders, those that are working every day to take care of our sick and needy, those that are happy to leave their families behind to take care of other families. We have several that are connected with our school, that are providing care for others and maybe neglecting care for their own families. We're a strong nation, God. We're strong because of you. Also, on a personal level, lift Tim Fanning, Renee, Brianna, and Macy up to you this morning. Tim is in your hands. The doctors that are doing surgery on him are in your hands. We just ask that you give them the strength and the knowledge and do what they have to do in Tim's time of need. There'll be a long recovery process with Tim. We understand that. I just ask that you provide comfort and strength to him and the family during this difficult time. Dear God, thank you again for this school. Thank you for our parents. Thank you for our students. Just thank you for everybody connected with Glenwood. We're going to make the best out of this bad situation with your help. In the name we pray. Amen. Thank y'all. Let me try to address some issues that we may have as a group and cover some things that we need to understand about for the rest of the school year. I think most of us as a parents anyway understand where we are. Friday the 13th was a bad day. Those Friday the 13th are. Being facetious on that, but I never thought on Friday the 13th when I was down in Autauga watching our baseball team play in their final tournament of the year that that'll be the last time we'd be at school. I thought it might be for 3 weeks, like the first order from the governor said, to start back school on April the 6th. But as we all know by now, that's not the case. So it's our job now to move forward. And you have heard what the governor has recommended. They close all public schools for the rest of the year. They have moved their graduation back, their completion date for the school year no later than June the 5th. That order did not apply to private schools. That was public schools only, K through 12. And then the Alabama Department of Public Health came out the next day and closed all schools, public, private, secondary, etc. And that's where we are. And their deadline was April the 17th. But now we know, I feel like after today and after yesterday's announcement by the president to extend these guidelines to April the 30th, I feel like we'll know soon that probably the Alabama Department of Public Health will also extend their guidelines and recommendations to April 30th as well. So we're planning to carry on school as, I won't say as usual, because it's not as usual. And I want you guys to understand that, students and parents. This is entirely different for our school. This is entirely different for our teachers. This is entirely different for our community. So we're all in this together. We're going to work through this difficult time together. But in times of crisis, we all learn to do things differently. And we're going to do things differently to make sure your children are provided the education that you pay for and that they need. Starting April the 6th, we have two main focuses at this school. That is to provide our students the essentials that they need to be promoted to the next grade, and to make sure our seniors get their work done to graduate and graduate on time. That's our focus. I know there are a lot of things that happen that are part of this, but folks, I can't tell you what the future is going to hold. I can't cancel things right now and reschedule things till I have more definite timelines to look at. Right now, my priority, once again, is to get our kids promoted to the next grade and to get our seniors graduated. So now I would like to share with you on how we plan to do that. Beginning next Monday, April the 6th, you know, originally we're supposed to be on spring break this week. I was supposed to be in Savannah, Georgia. My kids gave me and my wife an all expense paid trip to Savannah. This is the third time I've had to cancel that. But you do what you have to do. And that's the attitude that we need to have during this difficult time. We're doing what we have to do and we need to do for our students. Students and parents, you're in great hands. Our faculty and staff are second to none. They're ready. We had an hour Zoom meeting this morning. I thought I would never be technology Zooming anybody. Thought I could drift off into the sunset without getting technology involved, but I'm learning as well. But if we got to fight something, there's no better folks I'd rather fight this with us than our faculty and staff. Their first and foremost concern is the health and well-being of your students. Students, we're going to survive. This is a bump in the road. Trust God, do what you're asked to do, and we'll be back in school, have a normal school. I can't say when, but the time is coming. But until then, I need your help and cooperation to get you to the next grade and to get our seniors graduated. Parents and students, we're asking our teachers to teach their classes just like they're in school. Now that could be a variety of measures. All of our teachers are different. They have different learning styles, different styles that they communicate to their students with, and your students have different learning styles. We're asking our teachers to make learning as normal as it can be with your students. That could be videos, that could be Zoom meetings, that could be work packets, that could be FaceTiming, yada, yada, yada. And we're focusing on the essentials to get your child promoted to the next grade and our seniors graduated. So we're focusing on the essentials. Lower school, K-5, will concentrate only on math and reading. I'm not saying the other subjects are not important. I'm saying we're in a crisis, and we're trying to get through this year the best way we know how. Our 6 through 12 students will focus on our core classes of social studies, science, English, and math, in addition to those students that are taking Edgenuity required classes such as health, technology, and foreign language. Those students will continue to work on Edgenuity during this time to get those lessons completed as well. So that's our focus. And that's what we're preparing to do. And that's what we're ready to roll out to our families next Monday. Our students, our teachers have been asked to stay in close contact with our students. We need to hear from you guys. We need to know what's working on these remote learning classes and what's not working. We're calling this OCL, off-campus learning, which simply means that we'll do every method that the teacher feels that she can reach her students or their students in any way they can. It's just not what will be done on campus. Off-campus learning is what we're talking about now. And we're making plans to carry this throughout April and May if necessary. So this is just not being planned for 1 month. Our teachers are planning right now to be able to do these lessons for you for the rest of the school year as needed. So students, what do I need, or what do we need you to do? First of all, you're still in school. Nothing's changing. We're going to provide you lessons to do. We need you to complete your assignments, just like you were in a regular classroom. Communicate with your teacher. If you don't understand something, shoot them an email or whatever it takes to communicate with them. But all we need you to do is to complete those assignments. Every Monday, check your teacher's EdLeo page. Assignments will be posted for that week. And I'll go into more detail about that later. So check your EdLeo pages. Teachers have been told this morning to post all of your assignments on a weekly basis and to post those assignments no later than 9 o'clock each Monday. So starting next Monday, April the 6th, go to your EdLeo pages, 9 o'clock or after, and all of your weekly assignments will be posted. The teachers have been asked and instructed, once the assignments are posted on Monday, do not go back and post any additional assignments for that week. So you'll have all the assignments that you need to do every Monday. What I need you to do for our teachers is that to turn in assignments at a particular time. We're giving you 2 times to turn in assignments. We're asking you to turn in the assignments that you'll be given for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, to turn in those assignments to your teachers no later than Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Those assignments that are given on Thursday and Friday, we're asking you to turn in those assignments no later than Sunday evening at 7 o'clock. We're trying to be specific for you to let you know when the assignments are due and when you can expect to find your assignments from your teachers on the EdLeo pages. So this is a recorded video, so some of this stuff, if it's not clear to you or not specific on, you can go back and rewatch the video to get the timelines, etc. Another thing I ask you to do is attend chapel weekly. We're going to have chapel in some shape, form, or fashion. I think Miss Britt is working with something for the lower school kids, and I think Brother Johnny at Golden Acres Church is working up something for our upper school students. So we'll have chapel weekly, and we'll notify you when and how to turn into those chapel meetings. So please join us for chapel. Most importantly, communicate, communicate, communicate with your teachers, parents, teachers, students, whatever. Any questions about anything, communicate with your students, teachers. And students, you can do the same thing. Communicate, communicate. So the question, what does our instructional days look like for the rest of the year? First of all, if we stay off campus learning for the rest of the year, there are no more school holidays because we're really not on campus. I'm not saying don't observe Easter by any means. That is a holiday. But we have a certain number of days we get in, and we'll do that, but there will be no so-called calendar school holidays. These are the plans at this time. All instructional work for grades K through 11 will stop on Friday, May the 15th. All instructional work for grades K through 11 will stop on Friday, May the 15th. Senior work will stop on Friday, May the 8th. There's no extending the school year. There's no going to school during the summer. We're following our regular schedule as much as possible, and instruction will end in May. What we're asking teachers to do as far as the length of classes. Students and parents, we're not trying to make this a 6-hour school day. That's not fair to you. That's not fair to the teachers. It is just not fair during this difficult time. Our teachers have been asked to hold their lessons down to no more than 40 minutes per lesson. And that's what we think they'll do. Students, when you complete those, it's, you know your learning styles better than I do. But it's what we're asking of our students. So you shouldn't have a lesson that's going to require you 2 hours a day to work. If you do, shoot me an email and we'll get with that teacher. But understand, you may be given an assignment that goes over more than one day or one period, such as a report or a project or something that the teacher is asking you to do that's going to take more than one day. But as far as an actual class, it will be a 40-minute class with that. Let me talk about videos. A lot of our teachers doing videos and Zoom meetings and those type things, which is great. We had a Zoom meeting with our faculty this morning. It went very well. But videos are, if they're live, that's very, very important, students, that you are dressed appropriately for a live video. Please don't be laying in your bed with your shirts off and propped up on a pillow or yada, 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 because you're live. And you don't need other students and other parents seeing how you're dressed, especially if you're not dressed appropriately. So please address appropriately when your teachers are doing a live video like you're in the classroom. I'm not saying follow classroom dress code, but be dressed appropriately to be seen on a live video. The question comes up about semester exams. What are we doing about semester exams? I know this mainly applies to grades 6 through 12. This is what we're doing for semester exams. All students that complete and turn in their assignments will be exempt from semester exams. Yes, you heard me right. All 6 through 12 students that complete and turn in their assignments will be exempt from semester exams. So that should be very strong motivation for you students in 6 through 12 to get their lessons done on time and get them turned in. Grades, what we do with grades. We're teaching class, and our teachers will be grading assignments, just like you're in a regular classroom. Our teacher will be posting grades on iNow, like we do every week. And nothing has changed with iNow. And so teachers will be grading, teachers will be posting. So it's a normal class, it's just not on campus. And normal class activities will take place, just not on campus. So grades will be posted. So the question comes about, what about electives? Like I said earlier, K-5 is focusing on math and reading, 6 through 12, the core classes. So all elective classes and grades are over. Those classes ended at the end of the third quarter. There will not be a fourth quarter grade for elective classes for the rest of this year. So what does that mean for your semester grade? Very simply, your semester grade will consist of taking your first semester average and taking your third quarter grade and adding those two together and getting your average for the year. So that will be your grade for your elective classes. Once again, your third quarter is the end of your elective grading process. 6 through 12 students, Blair has created emails for each student to be sent to teachers. It will be your own email, school email is what it will actually be, where you communicate with your teachers starting next Monday for your work in class. They will communicate with you through that email, and you will use that same email to communicate back with them. If y'all been using your personal email or whatever email communicate from up to now, starting next Monday, you'll be required to use your school issued email, and you'll know what that is in due time to communicate with your teachers. And parents, I have 3 plans I'm looking at. Plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Plan A, of course, is very simple. If we reopen before the end of school, we carry on as usual, which means award days, 5th grade graduation, yada, yada, yada. Maybe all those things can be done if we reopen up before the end of May. That's plan A. Plan B is, if we reopen in June and July, is to make adjustments where we can. And these are trying times. And understand that everybody would like to do what's normal. But during these times, we may not be able to do everything that's been normal in the past. We'll adjust where we can. For example, it may not be that we can have an award day on campus, but students will get their awards, whether it's being mailed or whatever. So just some things we may not be able to do as usual. So understand that, and we're trying to take care of the priorities right now, what must be done. And then plan C is, what if it does not open until the fall? I hope and pray it doesn't get there. But if it does, then we'll have a plan for that as well. So these are trying times. And I'll ask of you once again is to be cooperative. Our teachers have been told the same thing. Students, you're our only priority, is to get you promoted and to get you graduated. That's what our teachers will work with you on, and that's what we will accomplish. So that's where we are at this particular time. And I would like to do a lot of these sessions between now and then to kind of bring you updated on what's going on and how things are looking, yada, 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 and we'll do that. So that's it as far as academics are concerned. I know some of you high schoolers are thinking about athletics. Athletics have not been canceled yet by AISA. I feel like they will probably be canceled through whatever the health department does. But understand, as long as we have these guidelines in effect, that you can't have groups more than 10, and you can't be within 6 feet of each other. So with the exception of maybe golf and tennis, it's hard to do the sports without being that close in contact. So I'm not sure about athletics and what the future holds. Every effort will be made. Every effort will be made. If these guidelines are taken away and we have time to get athletics started back and completed in a timely fashion, AISA will. But I can't sit here today and promise you that it will happen. I'm just saying what the plans are, etc. But our focus is your education and your safety and your health. Those other things can take place later, will take place next year. So join me and Dr. Graham working through this process. And I'm going to ask Dr. Graham now if she has anything to add and say to the lower school students that I didn't cover. Just remember we're here for you. And starting next Monday, you'll be allowed, somebody will be on campus every day, sometime during the day, and we'll communicate those times with you between now and then. Also, we'll communicate with you days that you can come by and pick up materials, and we'll have a day for come by and pick up medicines from Nurse Lindsay, etc. So we'll give you access to campus on certain days and certain times. Just please, once again, adhere to the guidelines that are there for our protection, and the guidelines are there for us to eliminate this crisis that we're under right now with the virus. So now let's Dr. Graham, she has anything to add to what we say before we get to the questions.
Yeah, no, just more than anything, I miss you guys. I miss all of you, even if you're an upper school student that I used to have in the elementary, or you're not an upper school student that I was ever in the elementary. Of course, my current lower school babies, I know you're not babies, all of you, but you're my babies. And I just want to say how much I miss you and how much this hurts us just as much as it hurts probably your parents. And I know at first you probably thought this was just a fun extended spring break, and now reality is setting in. But we're working really, really hard along with your teachers to make this go as smoothly as possible for you guys, with the hope and prayer that we will get to see your sweet faces again this year. As Mr. Mitchum said, we asked you guys for some questions, and you guys submitted lots of great questions. He covered most of them. So your question had to do with anything he just talked about. I'm not going to repeat it because he's already answered it. One thing I will ask, though, for elementary, the days that we do have, like either a packet pickup or a day to come get your medicine from the nurse, please do not bring your children with you into the school. We're really trying to minimize their interactions with, the school area. Of course, it's being deep cleaned regularly, but please don't bring your elementary children with you or your preschool children with you if you have to come here and pick up things. I know it's a little different for upper school because they have to get in their lockers and whatnot, but I am asking you please don't bring your elementary or lower school student with you if you need to come to campus to pick up anything. You ready to start questions?
Yeah, before you start questions, just let me say if we have any senior parents listening, that we're after this, we're having a live Zoom meeting with our senior class to go over a lot of the senior activities that they're so concerned about that we'll address with them in a separate meeting. So if you're part of this, and those questions will be answered with the senior meeting later on.
Okay. What if my internet access is unreliable? Will I have an option to do paper packets or paper pickups? What do I do if my internet access is unreliable?
Unreliable internet access. You must live in my house. But really, if you want to, the internet is bad, you can come to our parking lot and pull up out front and connect to the school email address, internet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's a code word that I have to use or whatever to do that, but that's one thing. But yes, packets are certainly a part of the process. That's been communicated to our teachers. What you need to do as a parent and a student is to let your teacher know as soon as possible that you don't have internet connection, that you can do things remotely. And that way we'll know who needs packets and how many packets we need, and set up a pickup time along those lines.
Okay, I see where some schools are doing pass-fail. How will are our teachers providing grades for the fourth 9 weeks?
As I mentioned earlier, we're in school. We're providing grades as normal based upon the assignments that are asked and completed to satisfactory according to the teacher.
Okay. If and when things calm down, whether we are able to return to school or not, will the summer care program still take place?
To be honest with you, I haven't worried about summer care lately. I'm trying to get school care taken care of right now. But hopefully, yes, if we can get completed by May and back to normal, all depends on the guidelines once again, as far as grouping up and social distancing. But summer care has not been ruled out.
If school does not resume, how will students get their yearbooks?
We'll have a pickup day here at school to get yearbooks if necessary. How that will work yet, I don't know, but we will get your yearbooks somehow, some way, sometime.
Will there be another chance to pick up textbooks or items left in school? Which, yes.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, we'll have certain dates and times to come in and pick up items at school.
What will happen with the driver's ed class if the students do not return to school and can't drive?
Great question. I've talked to Coach Nelson. No matter when we come back, Coach Nelson will make himself available and send out a schedule for students to drive during the summer or even next fall if necessary. Those students that have not completed driving for driver ed, you will be provided the opportunity to complete that class.
Okay. And I'll answer this one. Well, we still have the 5th grade end of the year slideshow, awards, dance, even if we don't go back to school this quarter. We would like to. The video certainly we will distribute once everybody's paid for their copy. And like Mr. Mitchum said, with other things, we could have a pickup day. I can't really answer on the awards day or the dance. He touched on that. You know, our goal right now is to get everybody the instructional material they need to go on to the next grade. So we can't really comment on awards days. We can't really comment on dances. Along with that question, are you going to have kindergarten graduation? Again, I don't know if we're going to have it this year. It might be this summer. It may be in August of next year or September. I don't really know, because right now the federal and state guidelines don't allow us to have any of these things. So just kind of keep an ear out for those answers once we have a better understanding about what the rest of our school year is going to look like and what the summer is going to look like. How will the teachers be able to personalize individual help like the students currently receive in class?
I personally believe this is a better way to handle individual learning styles, because teachers now can communicate with you privately with a Zoom meeting for yourself or emails to communicate with those that are having issues. That's why the communication from the students and parents are so important, to communicate with their teachers when and if they're having this difficulty.
Okay. Did you want to answer a tuition question?
Go ahead.
Okay. If the school is going to be canceled for the rest of the year, is Glenwood considering offering any discounts for next year or a return of some tuition?
I knew that was going to be a question, and rightfully so. Understand that we have teachers that are still getting paid. Our teachers are still working. Our teachers will be still teaching your kids. Not the ideal situation, but teaching going on and school's going on. And so I can't say anything more different than that. All I can say is each individual situation is different. And if any of our families are having financial difficulty during this difficult time, and you feel like you can't make tuition payments right now, then certainly give me a call individually, and we'll work with you any way we can to make this a less of a financial burden for you. Once again, school bills and teacher salaries still go on and have to be paid, but we're certainly available for a private consultation.
And we sort of answered this one earlier. Will all teachers be required to have all assignments for the week on EdLeo? As Mr. Mitchum mentioned, yes, Monday at 9 a.m. you should be checking. Our advice to you, just check regularly, check daily. Your teachers will be engaging in some way with your students every single day, whether it's just a little video to say hello, a link to a video that explains the concept they may have taught earlier. Certainly check Monday morning at 9 a.m. for your child's assignments for the week, but then check back every day just to see what else the teacher is doing to help your student along and to engage with your student. Okay, we are currently out of town and have been since school closed on March 13th. Would it be possible for the school to mail books to students, or will there be an option for another pickup day? Again, we sort of talked about that. Pickup
days will be made available. Don't think I have enough money to mail textbooks all over the United States.
With the federal government's social distancing guidelines extended until April 30th, do you think returning to school on the 20th is even a possibility at this point?
I don't know where the 20th date comes from, maybe the 30th or whatever. I wish it was possible to come back tomorrow. You know, we can't say that until we see exactly what happens. I don't know when that will be. I'm a worst case scenario guy. I have to be. And that's why we're making plans not to return to school at this time. And if we do, it's gravy. But we're making plans. Our teachers are working hard to be able to do this learning for you off campus.
Considering this virus and how rampant the flu can be as well, what changes will Glenwood make to ensure our students have less exposure or less chance of catching this virus?
Another good question. We do certain things for the flu. This is certainly a lot worse than the flu, we're being told. One thing that this new format has really shown me is if we have flu like this next year and in the future, you know, perhaps in the past we've had to close a school down on a Friday to give a longer weekend to come down and disinfect the whole school. But with off-campus instruction, off-campus learning, you know, in the future, if necessary, we can close down school a week at a time if we have these outbreaks again with the flu or whatever. So that's the beauty about things in a crisis. Sometimes you learn different ways to do things in a positive way. So this is something we can all do. Our school has already been partially wiped down for the coronavirus at this time. When school starts back on campus again, we've already lined up a company to come in and do a fogging of the entire school to fog everything down and disinfect again. So, but mainly it's an individual thing that you can do to help with this epidemic with flu or the coronavirus, with washing hands and social distancing and all that kind of stuff. It's, you know, it's just what we have to do as individuals to make this work.
Is there a chance that the 2020-2021 school year will start earlier?
I don't think it will start earlier. I think it's more of a chance of not starting at all than it is starting earlier. I think it's going to take the summer to get everything ready to start next year. I don't foresee any chance of school starting earlier.
Are there any plans for creating an app or having one unified platform in the future so that all e-lessons would be in one place to help parents and grandparents?
We had that same discussion this morning with our teachers. Right, a lot of those specific platforms and those type things require a lot of professional development. Right now, for the rest of this year, we're asking our teachers to do what they think is best, whatever method they can use to communicate with teachers and with students and allow them to complete their assignments. But yes, we're striving to get to that platform, whatever that platform may be, Google Classroom, Canvas, Zoom, whatever. Yes, that's been considered. I think we'll all be better off served, parents and students, if eventually we get to a one or two set platform delivery of instruction.
Did the fourth quarter reset, or did the grades that were taken from the 1 week we were in school for the fourth quarter still count?
The grades that was taken the first week of the fourth quarter, which is the only week we've had so far, will still count. We feel like a lot of students did those assignments, made good grades on those assignments, and need to be counted. So those fourth quarter is still in its totality, maybe a week or two shorter, but the fourth quarter has begun.
Remember elementary for reading and math, your fourth quarter continues. The other grades, the other classes stopped at the end of the third quarter. So in effect, that week of grades for any class other than math and reading, they aren't going on the report card because those other classes ended third quarter. So your concentration for the lower school will be math and reading, and for the upper school will be your 4 core classes, math, science, English, and history, if that kind of helps clear that up a little bit. Will new topics be introduced, or will these last few weeks be mainly review?
No, new topics will be introduced because we're trying to get the essential requirements met that gets you from one grade to the next. And all of those requirements have not been taught yet. So that's our focus, like I mentioned earlier, is to get the essential requirements met to get you promoted and to get those seniors graduated.
How is it possible that the governor can shut down some schools and not others? What makes Glenwood safe for students to return if area public schools are not allowed to return?
Well, you have to understand that the governor controls the Alabama State Department of Education, who controls K through 12 public schools. They have no say-so in private schools. That's controlled by the health department, which they have done with all of their orders and issues, and Alabama Independent School Association. Those that don't know, I'm also the president of the Alabama State Board. And let me emphasize to you that my focus as your headmaster and as a state board president, student safety is first and foremost in any decision we make pertaining to school openings or closings. And that will be taken in the direction of the health providers and those type of people that think it's safe or not safe to return to school.
Okay, and our last question. What if the school opens, but I don't feel comfortable sending my child back to school for the rest of the year? Are there options available for us?
That's a good question. I don't see that happening. We're committed right now to online learning. And like I said earlier, I think it's going to be for the rest of the year. But if we were to get back on campus at that time and the school is opened by the health department, et cetera, then I expect students to attend school as usual. Like it's always been with school in session on campus, if you feel it's unsafe for your child to come to school because of sickness, then you need to keep your child at home. Those are case-by-case situations. So I can't give you a blanket policy on that other. If we open school, students will be expected to be on campus unless they're sick or their family does not feel that they need to be here. Once again, thank you for your time. Thanks, Dr. Graham, for working with me during this time of downtime to get these things organized and together. And I want you to know that we had a special task force of teachers to come in several times during the last 3 weeks to help us put this together. And I forgot to thank our faculty for that earlier. Maybe they're listening, that this is a team effort. And like Dr. Graham said earlier, we miss you guys tremendously. It's nothing more boring than to be a headmaster of a school and you have nobody to headmaster. Kind of feel like a ship without a captain. I've got a nice big ship here, but with no people on board. But this is going to get better. Let's us do our part to making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do to help our nation get better. And I believe our God is in control, and he is going to work with us through this difficult time like he does in every epidemic that we have. Just keep praying for our healthcare workers and our nation and those that are connected and have contained this virus. It's very contagious. That's why it's so important to keep the social distancing and staying at home. So until further notice, see you in the future, hopefully in person. If you have any further questions of Dr. Graham and myself, like you've done in the past, that we haven't covered so far, please send us an email. And as always, go Gators.